Hi, my name is Addie from Homeschool New Jersey. This is a newly formed organization that is here to support our fellow homeschoolers in the beautiful Garden State. You can find more information about us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Enjoy Homeschool New Jersey. You can also
Awesome.
email us. You can also email us at hsnjboard, BOARD, at gmail.com.
Awesome. And then we also have myself, Ro, and we have Barbara from North Jersey, but we also have Mr. Scott Woodruff from HSLDA, and we just want to thank you so much for being one of the legislative watchdogs. We understand that there's a new bill that popped up in Trenton. Can you talk to us about that bill, please?
Right, and a truly astonishing bill has been filed. It's Senate Bill 4589, and this bill, believe it or not, would require every single homeschooled child and parent to meet every year with a school official. The purpose of this meeting, well, there's kind of a pretext. The first explanation is it's to find out if they can provide any, well, how was the phrase? To offer to be has to possibly get support from the school district. If homeschoolers want support from the school district, they know how to ask for that right now. Not that much is available, but the true purpose of the bill is in the second part, which says that everyone, every parent or child who's homeschooled must be questioned by a school official who's going to conduct a general health and welfare check on the child.
What does that entail, Mr. Woodruff?
All right, so I tried to look up that phrase. It's actually general health and wellness check. And I thought, well, gosh, is there a definition of that in New Jersey statutes? And no, there is no definition of general health and wellness check in the statutes. I looked in New Jersey regulations. There is no definition of that phrase in the regulations either. This means that what school officials are being mandated to do and homeschool parents and children are being mandated to comply with is not defined. That means every official is, in effect, going to have a blank slate, blank check to make up their own requirements of what that consists of.
So one thing I always hear you say, Mr. Woodruff, is no new laws are necessary. What we already have in place gives us the freedom that we need. What problem do you think they're trying to solve with this bill, or does it even matter?
This bill is not really there to solve a problem. It's there to propagate a myth that homeschoolers are child abusers. I'm sure you've seen stories in the media that can amplify really tragic stories of abuse and neglect. And there are folks out there who would like to take those incredibly rare events and use those to characterize our entire movement. In other words, take one or two uh, people who are probably criminals and use them as a paintbrush to paint the thousands of families who homeschool in New Jersey. Now, is that even plausible? Is it plausible that homeschoolers are child abusers? And the simple answer to that is no. There is no published research anywhere that says that homeschoolers experience child abuse or commit child abuse or neglect any more than any other group of people. In fact, there was a recent study that points in the exact opposite direction. A couple years ago, the Barna Group conducted a study of adults, and this was published in 2023. And in this survey, they asked very detailed questions of a nationally representative group asking about their experience with abuse. These adults were treated anonymously, so no one had any motivation to shade the truth or hold back or protect anyone. So what was the result from this nationally representative survey? The result is that homeschooling is not an issue. That yes, there are some demographic features that are predictive of child abuse, but homeschooling is not one of them. It's a very clear verdict that there is no greater incidence of child abuse and neglect in the homeschool community than anywhere else.
Wow, thank you so much for explaining that to us. And as homeschool parents and families, like what is our call to action? What do we do next?
Well, before I get to that, I want to expand on one thing. I mentioned that there is no definition of health and wellness check. So I did a Google search to see if there's a definition kind of out there on the internet. And I found a fairly credible source that describes it like this, quote, a wellness check is a preventive service that focuses on maintaining your current state of health and preventing future health issues. During a wellness check, a healthcare provider, usually a primary care physician, reviews your general health status. This includes a physical exam, discussions about lifestyle and behavioral factors, family history, and potential risk factors for disease, unquote. In other words, based on that definition, a school official would be asking very prying questions about your lifestyle, your children's lifestyle, your behavior, your children's behavior, your family history, potential risks for other diseases. In other words, getting into information that's incredibly sensitive and private. And that's just astonishing to me that a New Jersey lawmaker would push for a program like that.
In my past corporate life, working for HR and understanding HIPAA laws, you just brought that to mind, that this is definitely something that would need to be taken into consideration, knowing that this is very private. Like we already bring our children to, to the doctor, right, for a physical. And we're protected by the HIPAA laws that we sign. So how do they implement all of this, and how do they get around it, if anything? And lastly, when I think about a social worker, I mean, no one wants to work with a social worker unless that we know that there's some type of, historical abuse or something that necessitate that. And I cannot imagine a homeschool family being ready and open to speak to a social worker.
Right, that's an excellent point. Social workers are generally not well known for their willingness to respect the law or even to respect families' rights. This bill provides no privacy protection, so it's going to end up in the collection of a veritable trove of private information about a family, some of which could be embarrassing or very awkward if it became public, and there's no protection for privacy placed in the bill. We think the very best thing for New Jersey homeschoolers to do right now is to contact the three bill sponsors and respectfully ask them to withdraw the bill. Those sponsors are Senator John BURZICHELLI, he's from District 3, Cumberland, Gloucester, and Salem. Senator Paul MORIARTY from District 4, Atlantic, Camden, Gloucester, and Senator Benji Wimberly from District 35, parts of Bergen County and Passaic County. So if you're hearing this message and one of those senators is your senator, please call and courteously ask him to withdraw the bill. You can simply explain very briefly, please withdraw Senate Bill 4589. It falsely stereotypes homeschoolers as child abusers. Or, of course, you can develop your own message based on some of the information that you're hearing right now. Also, if this bill were to become law, we would very quickly expect a follow-up law, number one, demanding that all homeschoolers register, and number two, providing penalties for those who fail to register or those who fail to cooperate with the health and wellness check.
Mr. Woodruff, thank you so much for laying that all out. I think it's really important to talk about the last thing you mentioned in terms of the tip of the iceberg. A lot of times you look at these bills or these proposed legislation and it looks very vanilla, it looks very harmless, like, okay, it's just paperwork, or it's just a check, it's just annually. But we need to understand that once you give an inch, they take a mile. So what's really important is to just keep our freedom right where it is and not allow it to change, because we know that we love our children and we know that we're not abusing them. So this law solves nothing and it's not for us. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, we have to say no to stereotyping. It's really, truly wrong to characterize an entire group of people by the conduct of one or two of their members. That's just morally wrong, and we have to say no to that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.